Hello 2020 fix. It's so good to be back, and today's topic on things we learn on a Monday morning, I thought let's kick off this year with something which I'm really passionate about, which is a value that's driving me this year, and I just believe I want to share it with you, and hopefully it makes sense to you and shapes how 2026 looks for you. And it's about a post I posted about 2 Fridays ago on Freedom Friday, and it's really a value that I had to learn, and it has served me in good stead. And it's really about being fruitful over being productive. And it's two different concepts, maybe closely aligned, but have varying outcomes. And hopefully today I get to share the benefits of being fruitful with real world examples in business and in life that will hopefully inspire you to shift how you do life or business in this year. So strap up, strap in, and let's be fruitful. So before we jump straight into this concept, I just want to just give a quick update on things going forward with this podcast this year. My goal in my heart really this year for this podcast is to focus on bring solutions to the space, to your ears, to your psyche, to your head space, to your heart space. And that is engaging with people and conversations that are bringing solutions to real world solutions to our world. So conversations with with an AI expert, which I have lined up, someone I engaged with at the end of last year, who's passionate about AI, loves AI, but wants to bring solutions and see how AI can actually bring solutions to your space. And we potentially will dive into the difficult conversation about AI losing jobs and how we can harness it and what is sort of the boundaries we can navigate with. The other person I have lined up who's someone who I've personally worked with, but also a serial entrepreneur who's passionate about seeing people come to life. Not only in business, but also general people, but equipping them with the skill set to win. And it may sound vague, but it's how business and personal life overlap. And so he's really passionate about that. So we're setting that up, and there's just many more exciting people I want to engage with this year, in and amongst my personal one-on-one conversations with you as I'm having now. What's the difference between productivity and fruitfulness? Productivity is about outputs, how much work gets done. Fruitfulness is about outcomes, what work actually gets done and what it produces. So let's dive into this conversation as it leads up to my birthday, which is on the 5th of February. Super excited for it. It's another trip around the sun. I'm further reminded of this concept and this way of life of being fruitful over being super productive. I was one of those people that would pad my to-do list, pad it to the umpteenth degree, to not only to convince myself that I was being productive and I'm a person of value, because look at all the stuff I'm doing, but also it's just frustrated the heck out of me because I never really moved forward because of all the things I needed to do. I've always said, I'm too busy, which is a lie. It fed my ego, but never moved the needle. And maybe there's some of you that's like that just feel the need to pad your list in order to feel productive, to feel of value. But if you look back at what you've done, and hasn't it really made your life better? The answer is no. And there are some days which I do advocate for padding the list because you're feeling depressed, you're feeling in a downer and needing some sort of affirmation in some ways that helps, that you can tick off, I've done all these things, to feel great about yourself. But that shouldn't be the metric for value and self-worth. So today I want to dive into that thinking, looking at scripture, looking at the Bible, looking at real world examples of how businesses have pivoted to being fruitful over being extremely busy and how that has affected their business. So the first thing, let's look at a scripture, and this is the base scripture which I guess drives all of this. There's two scriptures I want to touch on, and looking at BibleGateway.com, and it's John 15. I am the vine and my Father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, so that it will be even more fruitful. I think if you look at further on, if you look at verse 4, it says, remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. So what's powerful about the scripture, it speaks about remaining in Jesus, being so closely connected to Jesus that your decision making is affected by him. It's basically you consulting Jesus about your decision making. And I've applied this to business, looking at which clients to needs to take on, looking at the client load, the book load, but also what do you want me to go after? And this is a beautiful scripture which cements that my identity is not tied to what I do, but is actually tied to Jesus. And he, being tied to him, will automatically impact the type of decisions I make. So being transformed by Jesus and his ways, I, in essence, will live out that in my business, in the way I live my life. And Jesus, if you look throughout Scripture, those that follow Scripture, if you look at Scripture, Jesus was not hurried. He was not in a hurry. He was never too busy to speak to people, but he also, on occasion, took time out to go refuel, rest. So he's able, which will prepare him and give him the energy to navigate the task that he needed to do, to go preach to the multitudes, to go from town to town. Jesus rested. So why can't we? The second scripture, which is a powerful scripture, is Genesis 1:28, which says, God blesses them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and everything, and every living creature that moves on the ground. Now often this could be misconstrued or taken to the fact of taken and used to be, hey, we must be productive, we must rule over this, we must multiply, we must keep going. But what I've discovered, not only in managing people, but also looking at business and my own life, is that the treadmill and the hamster wheel of wanting to increase in productivity and doing all these crazy things at the expense of my health, my life, and my family, and the people that are serving under me and working with me in the different businesses, I've discovered that my ego and ambition has led to burnout, not only of myself, but of them. But I've asked of them the impossible and the place that they didn't necessarily want to go. So there wasn't alignment. My ego was running ahead of me, and it did not make sense. The increase in number, it was more linked to my ego than actually just having a fantastic, successful business or a successful ministry. It was more linked to me than to the job itself and the value itself. Now, I just want to make a small caveat that I'm not advocating for laziness. I'm not advocating for not doing anything. I'm advocating for being strategic about your time and your efforts to move the needle in a maximum way, the most way forward, than padding your lists and your life with so much things that the needle moves only that much. That we move away from ego-driven lifestyle to being fruitful and actually enjoying the life that we are building, as well as increasing the numbers and reaching all the goals you want to reach. So, Genesis 21 and John 15. If I want to look at real world examples to give you some grounding in this, besides the scriptures, there's two businesses that I want to touch on today. Patagonia, which is a clothing business, and then Basecamp, which is an business organizational tool that you can use to organize your business, automate certain practices in your business and streamline your workflow. That's that type of business. And this I found from Nilo magazine. And this they shifted their business model to be more sustainable, building products and creating products that last for a longer period of time over products that, they're dealing with fast fashion that you just need to create all the time. And their sustainable business model operates on three pillars: people, planet, and profit. Unlike other businesses that just focus on profit. The company maintains a fair trade certificate across the supply chain, so they sustainable practices in it, ensuring safe working conditions, fair wages, and they continue to pay people well. The planet, since 1985, Patagonia donated 1% of the total sales, contributing to 140 million to grassroots organizations, so they're donating it to the planet. And then in 2022, the founder, Yvonne, I can't say the surname properly, transferred ownership to environmental trusts, making the Earth Company, making the earth the company's shareholder. And in profit, far from hurting the bottom line, the sustainable business model has driven consistent growth. So, I mean, that's one thing about what they're doing. And the other, this is a part of the business, is that they have a lifetime repair guarantee. In other words, customers can bring their Patagonia item for repair, regardless of the age or how they acquired it. So you could have been gifted this or bought it at a thrift store and it will be repaired. So they have a mobile repair trucks, and they host worn wear events, which is just absolutely fantastic. Second-hand sales, Patagonia actively promote used versions of their products through online platforms and in-store sections. And then lastly, 98% of Patagonia's product lines now use recyclable materials. So they're investing in their company so that people, when they purchase the product, their clothing, it is sustainable and it lasts a lifetime, because there's opportunity to upcycle and repair it. And it blows the mind that they are going after not producing all the time, but being sustainable and thinking about their product and it has not affected their bottom line. Absolutely amazing. Secondly is Basecamp. But I spoke about Basecamp, and this is from the article Forbes magazine or Forbes.com, and this is the premise behind the thinking was they looked at the stats of the average American. This is now in 2019, that the average American was 40% of Americans workers worked 50 hours a week, and 80-hour work week. It wasn't uncommon. So they would just work to the bone. And then they said, in particular industries like the financial services, healthcare routinely requires employees to work overtime, and so this is all in there. So all they know was a lifestyle. So he says, a doctor friend of this particular person who said, all I know is my lifestyle is not sustainable. So on the hamster wheel, overworking to meet the needs, being, just going crazy. So Basecamp, so they looked at this entire story and they said, look, we need to shift our business. It can't always be about work. It has to be working at Basecamp. Surely we can be fruitful. We can enjoy working here, but doesn't have to be an intense amount of hours. Let's be intentional about our time. Let's be focused over our time. And when we're working and when we're not working, let's enjoy that as well. So these are the benchmarks which they address. So the average of 40 hours a week, the company tries to average 40-hour weeks, decreasing it to just 32 hours in the summer. A 32-hour work week is such an anomaly if you look at it, because it's absolutely crazy. But imagine how efficient you would be knowing that you only had less time to complete all your work. So when you cut out on the unnecessary, the faffing around, and you just need to do it in that allotment of time, you get more done. So focused energy. Second one is, do not set year-end goals. That's crazy. The company explicitly refuses to set goals. No revenue goals, no margin goals, no customer targets. There's wisdom behind it, because no person or company can ever anticipate what's going to happen in the future. You can have ideas about it, but you're not God. So goals unnecessarily lock you in to a way of living and the way of focusing. A much more agile approach is focused on the short-term future. So not end of year, but maybe every 3 months or every 6 months. Next one, work in 6-week increments. That's 2 months, actually, if you think about it. The company operates on a 6-week schedule. Every 6 weeks or so, they decide what they'll be working on for the next 6 weeks. And that's the only plan they have. It's short, it's attainable, it's focused. They work in 1-hour blocks. So focused 1 hour. So work should be split into one full, uninterrupted hour with limited the number of fractured hours. And how often do we find ourselves that we have got a whole day of working and then we move our work out to different times? But if you focus for that hour, the rest of the time you have a bit more freer to decompress. And the next one, doing nothing is sometimes better than doing something. Not doing something that isn't worth doing is a wonderful way of spending your time. And that's what I was talking about earlier. Padding our list with things that we just don't need to be doing. It robs us of our energy, it robs us of our time, it robs us of our ability to dream and think, and also it's just a waste of time. So don't do it. Schedule office hours rather than enable employees to interrupt each other, work with incessant questions, pings, and calendar invites. The company enforces office hours. Office hours for experts are scheduled one day a week for 3 hours. Set a structured salary scale. Keep salaries equal for equal work and seniority, and to attract top talent. So consider paying employees top 10% of the market rate. So pay him the high end of the market rate. Offer benefits that benefit the employee. So obviously they look at benefits as a way to help people get away from work and lead to healthier, more interesting lives rather than drive them back into work. I need to work more in order to get these benefits. So Basecamp pays for vacations of employees who have been there for at least a year, up to $5,000, a 3-day weekend during the summer, 30-day fully paid sabbatical every 3 years, among many of these are among the many of the benefits. Keep it quiet. The company's work atmosphere is intentionally meant to mimic that of a library, so focus, keep quiet. Choose an optimal minimum, not the absolute maximum. So the founders quote Peter Drucker on this: "There's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all." So there's nothing so useless as doing efficiently that which should not be done at all. So in other words, it's like you're so efficient at doing all these things which you shouldn't be doing, which wastes your energy, which you just don't do it. So being optimal at the minimal, at the little things you need to be doing, then being an absolute maximum, doing well of the many things that you need to do. And then the last two would be organize teams in threes. So working with 3 people, because they say 3 is a wedge, and that's why it works. 3 is a sharp point, 3 of you. And the odd number, this means there's no ties. So you can always deal with conflict and frustration. And the last way, default to no is not yes. When you say yes to one thing, you've spent that choice. The door is shut on the whole host of alternative possibilities. The motto is much more limited. So, a no is not yes. So, I think it's fantastic principles that we could learn from Patagonia. I love the concept, and I fully agree with it. It's just that you eliminate the hustle. You're being focused in your attention. You being more productive or more fruitful in your efforts and your endeavors, or that whatever you do will potentially yield more because you are focused and not dealing with the unnecessary. And when you're done, you're done. You're done. Why does this matter? For me, like I said, this is revolutionary. You could tick off every task, everything on your planner. You can do all the list of things and still feel empty. And that, for me, was the problem. My identity, my ego, my self-worth was tied to the list of things that I was doing, and not to doing what needs to get done to get things done and be fruitful. But when your work aligns with your value and the effort is equal to the value that you want to go after, it builds relationships. You're a lot healthier, you're more focused, and you'd be surprised that when the big dreams and ideas that you had planned for, thought about, you'll be ready for it because you've put in the hard work. All those things are in place, and you won't be swayed by the big checks and all these flashy things. That your internal value, internal compass will be strong, and you begin to see the fruits. You'll be more present with the people that matter to you. Like for me, it was my family. You'll be productive in terms of you'll earn the income and you'll earn those things that need to be earned. You'll have greater impact because you'll find yourself in spaces where you're able to share this knowledge with others, but you'll also set people free. And you'll find out what a fulfilled life, a fruitful life actually is. And so this is a slower process, a more focused process, a rhythm-orientated process, and most importantly, a value-led and driven process, which is remarkable. So, May this shift the culture in your work, in your lifestyle, in your family's lifestyle. So that will just be different. So what can you walk away with? There's a few takeaways I want you to walk away with having listened to this. One, in this week, looking forward and looking at your list of tasks you need to do in the week that you have planned. Did it matter? Or did I just fill time? Did it build connection, value, legacy? Did it serve someone? Or did it just serve me? Thank you for listening to Things We Learn on a Monday morning. I hope this episode has inspired you and encouraged you to be more fruitful, to build things that last, but build things that matter. And even if you're working for someone, it's building a lifestyle or building a life that matters rather than build a life that just exists. So I hope you were encouraged by this episode, and I would really love to hear from you. Drop a message on the comment section or email me at jason@creativeinsight.com. Share your testimony, share a voice note, share something. I would love to hear that, to see how this has impacted your life. If you like this episode, you can like and subscribe, not only to YouTube, but to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and where all you find your podcasts. Until next time, may your work be fruitful, not just